Welcome to our first 2021 Small Talks for Small Business. I am Mirna Eusebio, Senior Vice President of Product and Marketing for Optimum and Suddenlink Business. At Optimum and Suddenlink Business, we are more than just your internet provider. We offer a wide range of connectivity, security, advanced voice solutions, entertainment, and mobile services to more than 400,000 businesses across 21 states in the US. We've developed this virtual series to provide you, our customers, with relevant topics of interest presented by industry leaders that can provide you some useful tools and tips to help you grow your business. With us today to discuss email marketing strategy is Laura Caggiano, owner and Chief Solutions Officer of Bloom Media. Laura and her colleagues at Bloom Media have been providing strategic marketing support for top brands for over 15 years. Combining her years of New York City agency experience and small business ownership, Laura brings a unique set of marketing insights and best practices to share with our small business community. Today, Laura will walk us through building a successful email marketing campaign and will offer best practices you can use to start building your own cost-efficient email marketing campaign. So now I'll turn it over to Laura. Hi there, Laura. Happy to have you. We're so excited and ready.
Hello, everyone. Mirna, thank you so much for that wonderful intro, and thank you all for joining us for here today. 2020 has been an unprecedented year for small businesses, and as we enter 2021, we're still in the midst of overcoming so many of these challenges and seeking viable ways to grow business. Email marketing remains one of the most cost-effective ways to broaden your reach to a wider audience. And with a little careful planning and research put into your email campaigns, you can be highly successful in converting contacts into customers, which is why today what we'll be doing is taking a look at some best practices that you can consider when developing your email marketing plan. So a perfect scenario in any email campaign would be sending the right message to the right people at the right time. And one place you can start is by defining your audience. No matter what you sell, you need to have a clear idea of who your audience is in order to effectively communicate with them. And an effective email is a relevant email. So like everything in marketing, understanding what your buyers want allows you to tailor your messages to meet their needs. And by sending targeted messages to smaller segments, you can have a really good picture of how these segments are interacting with your campaigns, right? And that's what you want. You want that data. That data is going to help to inform how you decide to roll out your campaigns moving forward. So one way we do that is through segmentation. By identifying a single characteristic about that you want to filter your audience by, you can be more intentional about what you say, and by creating these segments of and identifying the audience of identifying these characteristics within the audience that you want to segment by, this will help to increase engagement. The way that we look at that as proof of that is through a lot of these wonderful platforms like Campaign Monitor and MailChimp. According to MailChimp, the average result is 23% higher with segmented emails, and open rates is 49% higher. I'm sorry, 23% higher open rates and 49% higher click-through rates. So definitely a lot of great research behind why we should segment, and a lot of great proof points there. Personalization. Customers are 29% more likely to open up a personalized email, right? And then again, Campaign Monitor says that 26% more likely to open as well, and Experian says 6 times higher engagement levels with personalized emails. So where do we get this personalized data? This is something that's going to come from your buyer behaviors. This is something that's going to come from your customer surveys. And if you do have email marketing tools, this is where the data is going to come from to help you to personalize these emails and make them, again, as relevant as possible. The goal here in creating a targeted email, again, is what we want to do as much as possible is increase engagement. We want to build trustful relationships that are ideally going to generate higher return on investment for us. Building your list, right? I won't say it's one of the most important elements of a successful email strategy. And there's a couple of ways to do this as well, right? So website sign-up forms. We definitely want to make sure that if you don't have a pop-up form on your website, you really want to consider adding one. We included a great stat here from MailChimp saying how they increased growth by 50%, over 50%. Newsletter sign-up form. A lot of times there's, people will come to your site or you'll send out even an email that will introduce the idea that, you can keep up with what's happening here. And, we'll provide relevant, valuable content to you on a regular basis. Just give us your email address and you can keep up. Share sign-up forms on social media. That's another way. And just remember, when you're sharing sign-up forms on social media, that is a really wonderful way, again, for people to remain aware when you have something new to offer. Another way to consider doing this is through hosting a contest or incentives, right? I mean, how many times have we signed up for an email list because, somebody's offering something in exchange, right? A percentage off or something along those lines. What we don't recommend is list buying. List buying tends to get flagged as spam very often. And the last thing we want to do is cause unsubscribes, right? So we definitely don't want to do that. So consider those as a few options to building your lists. Deciding what to write. Okay, so an email with a purpose really speaks to your subscribers. That's a nice way to put it. We always want to think we're being purposeful and meaningful and making sure we're creating messages that resonate with our audience. There's a number of different formats here, and I don't mean this to overwhelm you at all, but everybody will come at this from a different perspective, and a lot of it comes down to bandwidth too. And we'll talk about that when we talk about frequency, right? Because if you're not working with an outside vendor, what you might want to consider very strongly is, do I have the ability to fulfill on this on a regular basis? So is it a weekly newsletter? Do you have enough valuable content to offer on a weekly basis? Is your sales cycle longer, right? So when we have somebody enter our sales cycle, we want to continue to nurture that lead. So maybe we create a lead nurturing campaign. And social media sends. You have an audience that's engaged on there. We want to maybe send through there. One of the things we just want to consider is that with social media, typically email sends to social media typically require text only. So you're going to want to be really clear, keep it concise, and use bullets to deliver your main points. And so the key takeaway for this one would probably be just to definitely set up different lists for different types of emails. Always keeping in mind what those customers and prospects have opted in for. Establish frequency and goals. So we're going to want to keep our audience excited about receiving our content, right? There's an important balance here about sending consistently and not sending too much that they're tuning you out, right? So you're going to make a schedule. Again, this goes back to being really aware of what you can fulfill on. So again, if you have internal resources dedicated to this, that's wonderful. And if you have an external partner, that's great. But with a lot of small businesses, you're wearing a lot of hats, and you want to just make sure that whatever it is that you decide to do, you decide to do it in a way that works with your schedule as well. So and also, works in line with whatever your audience's expectations are. So if they signed up for a monthly email, you're going to want to fulfill on that, right? You're going to want to monitor rates. This is going to help you. We're going to talk about testing and monitoring. This is going to help you decide if the frequency that you are deploying is right for you, or we need to increase that or decrease that depending on what you're seeing as response rates. And again, the overarching goal here is to gain mind share and build trust. So we want to continue to send and make sure that we're engaging with our audience to keep ourselves top of mind, but not to the point that they're tuning out or they're unsubscribing. Writing and designing your emails. So we're going to, we have our message here is about, initially about focusing on your message, keeping it straightforward and streamlined. We're big proponents of this. It could be very much so because we have a lot of business to business clients, and what we try to do is, again, going back to understanding our audience, people's inboxes are inundated with so many messages that they have to read and they have to pay attention to. And so if I want to get their attention, I'm going to want to make sure that I am concise and I am engaging. And we do that through our messages and through our through design. So in terms of the messaging, we want to make sure that your story that you're telling your story in a hierarchy. You want to keep it concise. You want to make sure it's scannable, right? Bullet points. We love bullet points. We like to make sure that whatever key messages that I'm going to convey, I'm going to be able to take away in a few seconds. Design and layout. So there are a ton of pre-existing templates out there that you should absolutely leverage if it supports your message, right? So we go back to, again, thinking about being meaningful and the story that we want to tell. We are not big proponents of form. We strongly believe in not doing form over function. So I won't try to retrofit my message into an existing template if it's not going to do it justice. Okay. So even though we work with a lot of marketing automation platforms and marketing tools for email deployment, what we wind up doing is a lot of times crafting the message which we think is right, designing a custom template, and creating that HTML, uploading it to some of these platforms. But again, there are so many wonderful templates out there that there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Take a look at what's available to you and make sure that it supports your message. And we also made a note here about limiting calls to action. I wanted to make sure that I was clear about this. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have multiple calls to action within your email. Ideally, however many you have, they're all going to the same place. So, for example, if I'm dealing with a prospect that is not ready to talk to me, but they want to learn more, then I might have multiple calls to actions in there, which one might state a learn more button, which is an easy in, or another one might be talk to us today, and maybe for somebody who's a little bit further along and actually wants to have a conversation. But regardless, if I'm sending them all to the same landing page, or they're going to be able to opt in for that more information. Again, we are trying to send a message to somebody to get their attention for the right reasons, to make sure it's relevant to them, and we want them to opt in for more. That's why we create our landing pages and our websites, wherever we want to get them to learn more information, because you're not going to get it all across in an email. And then one of the, obviously, again, going back to monitoring and testing, we want to compare, right? We don't want to just go out and say, okay, I crafted my message, I have a beautiful template, and now I'm going to go out and do this. The reason why I say this is because, we have actually seen just a text only, very simple email written from an executive or from an engineer do very well, even better than a nicely designed HTML email. Sometimes people really just like that personal approach. And so there's a lot of different reasons to test graphics against images, graphics against messaging, etc. Right. And one of the other things that we do even is, there are tons of organizations out there that put lots of money and resources toward their marketing. And why not take a look at some of the emails that stand out to you? Because, one of the things that anyone can do in that sense is imagine they have done quite a bit to research and create their own best practices. So if there's an email that stands out to you and you think can represent your brand, great, by all means, take it, use it for inspiration. And it can, it's definitely nice to have in your repertoire. Testing your emails. Okay, so this tells us where the proof is in the pudding, right? So the testing a variation of your email to help build a strategy that works. When we talk about A/B testing here, and what we mean is there's a couple different ways to do this. One of the things that we might want to do is we'll take our audience and we'll split it in half, and we'll decide, okay, so I have a specific email I'm sending out to this audience. I'm going to split it in half, and half are going to receive one subject line, and a half are going to receive another. Half are going to go image heavy, half are going to go strictly message, copy heavy. There are different ways that we A/B test, or we do an A/B split. This is going to tell you, this is going to give you some key truths. That's ideally that's what you want to learn. That's what you want to gain here. And, some of the things that you're going to learn might be, not just about when, what you're going to write or how you're going to design it, but also maybe the day that you're going to send. So a quick note here is that emails sent on a Tuesday get higher open rates. Even though that's a fact, it doesn't necessarily need to be true for your specific business. We had a client that because of the amount of information that they had to share on a weekly basis, and knowing how busy that their audience was, they decided to do a weekly recap on a Friday, and they called it Weekend Reading. And they became highly successful and people were very happy about and raving about that they had the ability to gain this information, or the valuable content that they had to share, because a lot of it was report related and things that could help to support their roles at their companies. But what they were really happy about was the fact that somebody took into consideration what their audience wanted and found a way to give it to them in a way that was easy to digest. Some of the other things you want to do in testing is you crafted a beautiful message and have a wonderful layout, and it's all coded, ready to go. And the last thing you wanted to do is to not look that same way among different browsers, especially in mobile. So send test emails you have to your colleagues, to your family and friends, whoever need to, and especially on mobile. So, we talked about, different things that you want to consider in terms of, your messages, right? So we talked about keeping emails concise. And the reason why we talk about keeping, the reason why we'll talk about keeping subject lines concise is a lot of times because of mobile, right? So 85% of users are opening emails on smartphones, right? And of those, 70% are saying they're closing they're trashing an email in a couple of seconds if it's not formatted properly. So test your emails, make sure that they look great, and you could put together. It sounds like it again. There's a lot of variables here, but there's really not, especially because there's so many. There's so many ways to create a checklist for yourself to make sure that these are the steps that I'm going to take and to ensure that all my hard work and my effort that went into my email is going to work as effectively once I share it with my audience. Evaluate email costs and free tools. So this goes back to our early statement about email marketing being one of the most cost-effective ways to market your brand. There are a ton of free tools out there, and the majority of them will allow you to be on the free program or the free plan till about 2,000 contacts or under. So what we did here is we put together a few options to consider because of experience that we've had, and as well as a list of other options that you might want to consider. On our Bloom Media blog, we do have a complete list if you want to click through and try them out for yourselves. But the way that you're going to weigh these is going to be, what it comes down to, what it is that you want to achieve, right? So a lot of them have similar features, but for example, HubSpot is more known for their they're more known as a CMS, right? So what we do with HubSpot is that if we're going to use some of their marketing automation tools, right? We'll take a look at, okay, if I'm going to consider, if either I have HubSpot either I have HubSpot right now, I'm going to consider using their marketing automation tools. I might say, okay, I want to start with their free email marketing platform because there's going to be great integration as I move forward. But it doesn't have to be. Like I said, if you go in there and you like the interface and you feel like that the tools are easy drag and drop, which most of them are, and it feels right and it's a comfortable environment for you, it might be worth a try. MailChimp, we typically use MailChimp on a pretty regular basis. We find that the interface is easy to work with. We typically will design our emails in HTML and then upload them into the system. But we've been really happy with the results of our campaigns, and also the ability to be able to track our opens and our engagement and our click-through rates. Sender is another one. Again, they all might be similar in some ways, but Sender is one of the ones that's known for beautiful templates that allow you to make your e-newsletters without HTML and personalization, etc. So again, I don't want to send you in one direction because there's so many different, as I said, there's so many different options, and you need to find the one that's right for you. But I did want to narrow a little bit. I mean, MailChimp is a really user-friendly place to start if you're not using a marketing automation platform or an email marketing tool right now. Measuring your performance. So we want to be really meticulous about our key performance indicators and and measuring our campaigns, right? We're putting a lot of effort into this marketing channel, and we want to make sure that it's not in vain. So we want to see where our wins are and where we can make some course corrections as we continue our campaigns. So one of the places we want to try is we want to take a look at is opens and clicks. It's pretty obvious, but I like to look more at our conversions, right? Our click-through rates, because opens, it's great. Maybe they took a glance at my information, but my goal is to get them to that next step, which is ideally I want to get them to a landing page. I want them to to complete a form. I want them to reach out to me, and that's the way that I'm proving that my campaign is being most effective. Your e-commerce data. So, you send out a campaign and you see an uptick in your purchase behaviors, which is a really good indicator of how that's working, right? Website traffic. If you see an increase in the traffic or the visits on your website, once you've put a campaign out there, that's another way to track your performance. So keep an eye on these things. Most importantly, though, establish your goals ahead of time, right? So what is your goal? Are you just looking to increase site traffic? I'm sorry. Are you just looking to site traffic? Are you just looking to increase your website traffic? Are you looking to gain new customers? Or what is that you want to achieve? It's really important to establish ahead of time so you can track performance accordingly and see if you're meeting your goals. And, you know, it is important to look at other industries, right? So we have a tip here about to consider how you open and click-through rates compared to other industries. So I know that the average, I know that the average open rate for business services companies to send out an email, is 8%. So that at the very least is a good starting point from where I can measure my campaigns against. And things like this, these are things that obviously we're happy to help with. But if you just Googled, what is the average open rate for a business services, company, they'll be able to, you'll come up with some great stats. Okay, and so we covered a lot here today, and I'm hoping that it was really helpful. But I think it would be a great opportunity to recap a little bit with our key takeaways. So one of the places we want to start if we want to create targeted and more effective email campaigns is by defining our audience. And we talked about how segmentation and personalization are great ways to help you do that. You want to build your lists, right? There's a couple of ways to build your lists by the customer data that you receive, but also, we don't recommend list buying because, again, we definitely want to avoid our unsubscribes and, spams. We don't want to do that. Deciding on what to write. Again, what does your audience want? What will they find valuable to them? What are your business goals? What are you looking to achieve? Aligning those are a great way to consider to think about that. And do I have enough valuable content to offer up on a weekly basis? Or, maybe a newsletter is great, but maybe on a monthly basis. Thinking about, as we talked about with special offers or events and things like that, these will punctuate some of the other longer campaigns that you have going on. And always keep in mind what subscribers signed up for, because we want to make sure that we're staying true to their expectations. Establishing frequency and goals. We want to make sure that not that you're just not making a schedule, but it's a schedule that is doable and workable based on the bandwidth that you have or the resources that you have allocated to this. And we want to monitor our rates there. So our frequency, we're sending out on a weekly basis, but guess what? People are not paying as much attention because maybe I'm sending too frequently. We want to make sure that we're remaining top of mind, but we want to make sure that we're people aren't tuning out. Write and design your emails. So again, laying out your story in a hierarchy is really great. And I just wanted to leave you with a couple of really great stats to back up the concise aspect of things. So 26%, I believe, let me think about it. I'm thinking the number count stats. This is really helpful. Okay, so email, 50 to 125 characters. According to Campaign Monitor, will result in a 50% plus response rates. 40 to 100 characters for pre-headers. But if you're not using pre-headers, please think about using them. Anything that allows you to pack more detail in your emails is going to be helpful. And one of the things that we also want to make sure that we're doing is not letting that pre-header be too obtrusive with your main email content. And subject lines, 28 to 50 characters with subject lines. Again, we're going back to the mobile audience here too. We're thinking about them. If your data is telling you that everybody is opening yours on a your emails on a smartphone, then we're going to want to make sure that we're keeping them concise and making sure that your message doesn't get truncated too bad in order to get your message across, right? Testing your email campaigns. We're going to A/B test subject lines. We can A/B test designs. There's a lot of opportunities to do that. And be sure to design and check your emails again on mobile devices, right? Make sure that everything aligns properly, the way that you expect it, the way you saw it on desktop is the way that we're seeing it on everybody's on everybody's desktop. Evaluate email costs and free tools. Again, there are a ton of plans out there that will let you stay on there until, over 2,000 contacts. So you have to, if as long as you're keeping it under that, you're in great shape. And they're very intuitive and easy to use. So take a look at some of the ones that we might have recommended. If you want more, you can always take a look at the Bloom blog. We have quite a few of them listed there, but just find the one that's right for you. And measuring your performance. Again, these key performance indicators and industry benchmarks that we talked about are going to be a great starting point for you to measure your campaigns against. And ideally, the information that you're going to get from there is going to help to inform your next email campaigns and make your email marketing strategy even stronger. So that's what we have for you today. And I really hope that you found value in this, and that if there's anything that we can help you with, we're happy to do so. I wish you the best of luck with your small business. And I hope that you stay tuned for our next event coming up in early spring.